In Haikyuu and a lot of other animes, they eat watermelon for their summer episode. So I wanted to give it a little twist and make this beautiful watermelon jelly. First, we're going to need a watermelon and cut it in half. And I don't know if you're going to notice, but this is my first time cutting a watermelon in half. I usually get it already cut in half or in pieces, but okay. I managed to do it, so we have our half watermelon. Okay, after my little struggle, we have to pick the prettiest half because it's going to be our bowl. And this one is good, but it doesn't stand still. So we need to cut a little bit of the bottom so it doesn't fall and do the little top test to know it's perfect. Now we need to start carving all the red part out, leaving the green part to be our bowl. Here we need to be extra careful and only carve till we see the white part, because if we carve too much we can make holes or break it, and if that happens we're not going to be able to use it as a bowl, so be extra careful. With this part of the watermelon, we're going to make the jelly, so we need to blend it first. Here, if you want, you can take the seeds out, but to be honest with you, my blender didn't blend the seeds, so... But you can do whatever you want. Either way, with or without seeds, I think it's better to sift it. In this part, we're only going to use half of this juice and save the other part for later. By the way, I always leave all the ingredients in the description box, so it's way easier to go check it whenever you want. This part is completely optional, but I like my gelatin to be a little bit sour, so I add the juice of one lemon and I think it makes it a lot more fresh. Now it's time to add the unflavored gelatin. We will need to use a lot of it, since that's what will make the watermelon gelatin keep the triangular shape when we cut it. We're going to leave this aside so the gelatin can hydrate, and don't forget to sieve the rest of the juice that we're going to use later. To be honest with you, with this and our bowl here, we can already make the jelly, but I like adding a little bit more of the watermelon. So this part is completely optional, so I will leave you the time here so you can skip to that part if you don't want to add pieces of the watermelon to your gelatin. If you didn't skip, means we have something in common. We like our gelatin with fruit. And I'm really curious to know how many of us are out there. So if you can give me 5 seconds of your time and comment fruit down below, I would really appreciate it. Okay, getting back to the recipe, I'm going to add a little bit of honey to make it more sweet. I also have to tell you that I made this recipe a couple of times and failed, but I learned that we need to leave the watermelon like 1 to 2 hours before adding it to the gelatin, because it has too much water, so we need to get rid of it before we add it to the gelatin. We finally have all the ingredients, and I'm going to start by adding the watermelon pieces to the watermelon bowl. Leave that aside and we can get back to making the gelatin. So first add the gelatin juice and some sugar. Mix it all together before turning on the stove on medium heat. Here we want to warm up the juice and melt the sugar, so it will take about 1 to 2 minutes. You can check by taking a little bit between your fingers and rubbing it to make sure the sugar has fully melted. Turn off the stove to finally add the gelatin that has been hydrating for at least 10 minutes. Don't forget to taste it to check if you need more sugar. For me, half a cup was perfect. Finally, pour everything into the watermelon bowl and cover it with plastic wrap, making sure it's fully covered before putting it on the fridge. This pretty one will go to the fridge for 24 hours at least, so don't leave it any less than 24 hours, and check if it's liquid before cutting it. As you can see, this one is perfect to be cut. Here you will need a really sharp knife to cut it. So as you can see, I used a butcher's knife. It was perfect for me. So For our gelatin to have that pretty triangular shape of watermelon you saw at the beginning, we need to cut it 2 times in half to then cut the slices, but check that is at least 2 fingers wide because if it's too thin, it will break and won't hold the shape that we want. And finally, we get this beautiful piece of watermelon jelly that is lovely for summer. If you like the recipe, don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye!